evening, Mr. Landman.
Hi.
My name is Nselju. I heard about this position you've been interested in running.
Yes.
About the environment.
Yes.
Who are you running against?
Hi, my name is Moshe Landman. I'm running for Maryland Senate, the 39th District. Actually started considering the House, but my party, the Green Party,
Yes.
we discussed it, and we had no one running for the Senate. 39th District includes Clarksburg, Gaithersburg,
Yes.
parts of northern Gaithersburg, Montgomery County, and Germantown. So I'm running with the Green Party. Many people have heard of the Green Party. Ms. Stein, Jill Stein is running, and we've had some history of some success, but America essentially is a political duopoly. The Republicans and Democrats are getting most views. So let me just go over quickly the Green Party.
Okay, could you please hold on for a minute? I'm really interested in knowing about this whole thing.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the environment, what are your interests? What made you get into this?
Great question. Well, let me rewind. It has to do originally with the spiritual tradition, Jewish tradition.
Yes, sir.
We come from Israel, and we believe that there's a divine reality to the world.
Of course.
And nature, the situation with the taking care of nature is our first priority. If we can take care of the natural world, well, obviously, a priority will take care of the humankind and our situation. If we start with the plants and the animals, obviously we're going to take care of our people. Right now we're not taking even care of our people. We've got, the situation is a minor group of wealthy Americans essentially run the show, and they manipulate the system and to them for their own benefit. It's all about money.
Oh,
and
great.
these folks essentially, it's been like this since the beginning of America, to be honest. Let's just understand. The founders of America were slaveholders, and they basically, and Maryland was originally owned by the Native Americans.
That's
and they
right.
kicked the Native Americans out, and then they brought their slaves, and then they utilized it. Was manipulation, abuse, and it was a system of using them for their own benefits. They can have the gold. It actually has all have to do with gold and silver. They just wanted to own as much as they can, and they took over from the British. But
okay, Mr. Moshe, could you please hold on for a minute?
Sure.
In regards to this, what are your goals?
Well, let me rewind. What are the 10 party? Why did I join the Green Party? They believe in, number one, grassroots democracy. It's about from the bottom up, from what people believe, not from what the special interests, the elite, the Ivies, etc.
Right.
Those are the folks that want to maintain power from the past.
Yes.
Rather than helping the most people, which is what we're about, helping the most people, the most benefit for the most people. Social justice, issues of racial equality. Issue of what happened in the past. Tomorrow's Juneteenth, and so we should discuss what happened to the African Americans, and as well as the Native Americans. Why is there some extras? There may be extra attention, extra special treatment for those who suffered in the past. Ecological wisdom is a key for the Green Party.
That's right.
What does that mean? That nature can teach us how to act. I have over here a garden on the porch.
Yeah, I saw that one coming.
When you grow fruits, you have to work towards it. If you don't water them, like the way if you don't water society with financial assistance, it's going to go dead.
That's right.
If you do it properly, you're going to have wonderful fruits. So right now, Maryland, you look at the streets in Baltimore, you go downtown West Baltimore, drug houses are boarded out. You've got Frederick, etc.
Yes.
This area is okay. Clarksburg is very beautiful.
That is right.
Gaithersburg is nice. Germantown. Today we went to a beautiful event, Juneteenth. Exciting. But we have other areas of the state with a lot of problems. And then we have the Chesapeake Bay. We're going to talk about that soon. Chesapeake Bay is 40% dead zone. 98% of the marine life has died over the last 100 years.
Yes.
Everyone knows that the oysters have gone, the crab life, the sea, the fish. And we're going to get to why that. And that's a third value of the Green Party's ecological wisdom. Live sustainably, preserve your resources. Non-violence, this is key right now. Everyone's talking about violence. And we've got people shooting each other. We've got police shooting people out in the streets. It's crazy. We need to remove guns. Ultimately, we need to repeal the Second Amendment. I know a lot of people don't like to hear this.
That's true.
Guns are not necessary in society. Why should we have guns? Even police should not be having guns. They should be tasing people, God forbid. The problem, they have guns because they're worried that the guy they're stopping in the street has a gun.
I really understand what you're trying to say, Mr. Moshe. But before you proceed, I would love to ask you, tell me what strategic plans you've come up with in regards to the gun violence.
We're going to get there. Today we're just talking this video is going to be about the environment. Next video we're going to go through like 10 videos on
Okay.
politics. We're going to go over our budget, fiscal responsibility, and we're going to go over guns and another one.
Thank you.
So the fifth value is decentralization.
Okay.
The Green Party believes in returning power to the local level,
Okay.
restructuring our society so it's not controlled by the few, which is very
Yes.
important. Right now, basically, the moneyed few are controlling the system, and it's not real democracy. You've got the two-party system. Democracy is when we really represent. In fact, my job, if I win as in the Senate, I'm running against Nancy King in the 39th. Originally, I was going to run with the House of Delegates,
Okay.
but I wanted to lead in the Green Party to help them on a higher level, and maybe next time run on the federal, either the House of Representatives
Yes.
here, David Schroen, or against the Senate.
Okay.
So the idea is we need to bring power back to the people, and we
Yes.
need to really represent. Our job is basically to take the taxpayer dollars that state
I
people
see.
give
Yes.
and pay and use those monies in the most effective way.
Utilizing it in the most effective
the way the
way.
people
I
in
got
my
you.
district
Yes.
believe that money should be spent. That's all our job. You know, political leaders are not spiritual leaders. They're not celebrities. They're not
So what are
even
they?
cultural leaders.
What are
They're
they?
actually technocrats. They're just supposed to take the money, tell you what they're doing with it,
Yes.
and spend it properly. Right now, Maryland is $39 billion essentially in a hole, financial hole. We're going to get to that in another.
Okay.
And our Chesapeake Bay is based primarily dead.
Yes.
All of the streams that are feeding the watershed going into the bay, including excess nitrogen and phosphorus. It's complicated. It's actually not pollution. It's actually excessive fertilizing. Good stuff that could be used in other areas like Iowa, Michigan, in the West that are having fertilizer problems. We're flooding it. And we'll get to that another time.
Okay.
So that's decentralization, economic-based, community-based economics. So we need to bring like business down more on a local level. We've got a bunch of companies, public companies and financial.
Yes.
They have they trade on Wall Street, but they're not necessarily helping us here. People who get lucky, who get those jobs in those companies are doing okay. They have the benefits, but most people are not benefiting. We need Maryland to take over a little more to provide, especially environmental jobs. We can hire hundreds of thousands of people to help clean up the environment, just like the New Deal.
That's right.
So we talk about the Green New Deal. It's just everyone gets afraid in the West. The Republicans, the red folks get scared when they hear the Green New Deal. Green New Deal is just go towards renewable energy, clean the environment,
Yes.
help people work towards it, because right now we know about climate change is actually a big deal. We're heating up the earth. That's causing all sorts of environmental disasters. But I think for me, it's more about pollution. It's more about just our waters are dead.
Oh,
The air is dead.
That's right. That's
The
right.
animals, the food we're
Yes.
eating is not, first of all, it's not as nutritious, and it also has chemicals in it.
Yeah.
It's basic stuff. Feminism and gender equality is basic. We need to end domination of certain groups. We have to be tolerant to all races, all gender
Inclusive.
and
That's right.
orientations. Respect for diversity, right here. Personal and global responsibility. So we're going to work on one of the things that the Green Party, they want to reduce military spending by 50%. That's on a federal level. Maryland doesn't have too much. Larry Hogan, the governor, increased the budget. He was into, he's a Republican, strengthening the police.
Yes.
Spent a lot of money on that. But why do we
That's
need to be strengthening police so much? Instead of the police are reacting to problems in the community. If we can fix the problems in the community, remove the guns,
Yes.
going into the inner cities in these communities, where people are joining gangs because they have no money and they have no life. Their lives are terrible. Today, in the Juneteenth event, we saw people having fun. There's no violence there because they're all African Americans, because they were happy and there was no oppression, and they're doing well financially. Future focus and sustainability. So now let's go to the environment. The first issue is the Chesapeake Bay in Maryland. Chesapeake Bay is 40% dead zone over tens of years, and the EPA's been trying to fix it. The Chesapeake Bay Foundation, everyone's trying to fix it, but the problem is not being fixed. It's still very trouble. Excess nitrogen, phosphorus.
So why do you think the problem is still surfacing?
Okay, that's a good question.
Yes.
What's happening is, remember, the Chesapeake Bay, the watershed spreads all the way to New York, Pennsylvania. All these streams come down, primarily through the Susquehanna River. Now, there are all these farms along the rivers.
Yes.
The farmers throw the manure and other contaminants. Well, manure is not contaminants. It's a great fertilizer, but when it gets into the stream, there's excess nitrogen and phosphorus. What happens? This is important. It's actually not pollution. It's actually too much good stuff that flows down the Susquehanna River. Then we have the Conowingo Dam. Conowingo Dam was built in 1920, almost 100 years ago.
Yes.
And it's a dam that creates a nice amount of electricity, which is natural and renewable, which is good. However, all these years, there's tons. If you look behind the dam, it's full of sludge. It's all overflow. It's stuck with disgusting stuff on the back of it. So when it rains a lot, everything flows over it. It goes
That's
all
right.
the way in.
That's right.
Now, we'll deal with the Conowingo Dam. That's another major project, and there was a big lawsuit, and they got away with it without having to spend what the Exelon Energy, which is now Constellation.
Okay.
So everything goes into Chesapeake Bay. Now, all this phosphorus and nitrogen feeds the algae.
Yes.
Algae loves the phosphorus and nitrogen, which is coming from septic tanks. People don't clean their septic tank. Now, the public septic tanks have been cleaned, like 66 of them.
That is quite true.
Right? These are centralized.
Yes.
But a lot of people have septic tanks that are just on private property.
Yes.
Waste, human waste. They don't clean it regularly. Stuff leaks. All that stuff leaks, and then that goes into the bay, feeding the algae.
Okay.
We also have stormwater runoff from streets.
Yeah.
All of this stuff. Well, the streets have
Yes.
oil, gas from cities. It runs off into the agriculture, and then it gets into the bay.
Okay.
And all of this creates algal blooms. Algae grows very, very fast. Algae then dies. The bacteria feeds on the algae. They suck out all the oxygen. The excessive algae also causes blockage. There's so much algae, it
Yes.
blocks the sunlight, and then the bacteria that feed off of the algae suck off the oxygen. So we've lost most of our oysters, crabs, fish.
Fish. Mm-hmm.
There's still fish areas, but if you look at the middle, the whole middle of the Chesapeake Bay is a dead zone.
Yes.
So because of the algal blooms. Now, it's even worse on the eastern shore. Maryland is one of the top chicken producers in the country. Purdue, Tyson, Mount Air are here. Those are some of the biggest public companies.
Yes.
They contract, just like McDonald's, you have a franchise, you can contract to start a chicken farm. They'll pay for everything. They'll pay for the chickens, the materials. They'll set everything up. All you do is raise the chickens, and then you sell it back to them. They buy it as whole.
That's right.
The chickens have manure. All that manure is sitting on these farms on the eastern shore. It's also Delmarva. And then they use that, because they can't get rid of it, they put it back on the farms. All of that excess phosphorus and nitrogen is going right back into the Chesapeake Bay. So the solution to this whole problem, first we need to go to New York and Pennsylvania and stop them from, prevent them from throwing all of this manure and all of these excess,
waste.
But mostly it's the excess animal waste, but it's also certain fertilizers, pesticides, and others.
Yes.
That's flowing right down. It's not being stopped at the dam, so it's going over many times. It goes right into the bay. So we have to deal with them. Then we have here in Maryland with septic tanks, stormwater runoff. We don't have enough barrier trees. Trees, if we put a certain agricultural trees along the banks of rivers, that will actually suck out a lot of these. They like to feed on the nitrogen.
That's right. That is true.
So once it all goes in, we've got to. One of the answers is for the chicken farmers is just to truck it out. It's great fertilizer. There's farms in Iowa. There's farms in the Midwest, all over the country. They're desperate for really good fertilizer. Chicken farm manure. Once it's composted, not right away, it's composted, and then it becomes, after a few months, you stick it there, they'll just pick it up. We'll have trucks send it over and sell it. This could be a moneymaker for, if they don't want the money, if the big farm don't want to do it, we can hire, the state can take care of it. We'll pay for the truckers, we'll send it to the West, and they'll pay a reduced subsidized price. We'll give them a discount. Virginia farms, North Carolina farms, anywhere where they need this chicken manure. We got to get it out of here. But right now, it's all going right back on. We know, it started with O'Malley, said there was going to be a limitation, and Hogan, nobody enforced it.
That's right.
So now, they even have a phosphorus management tool. People aren't using it. They're not getting it. We got to get it out of here. Okay, so that's the Chesapeake Bay. And then in general, we just have too many, Maryland farmed over the years. Everybody cut down all the trees to start their own farms. So we don't need farms everywhere. A lot of it's not even being used. You can look all over. You can just do a Google map. You'll see that the farmland, most of it's not even being used anymore. It was used 50 years ago, 20 years ago. It's not being used. So we need to promote the replanting of forests, because trees are natural purifiers of air. They just suck in the carbon dioxide, and they give out oxygen just like we need. We can get rid of all of this excess carbon, which everyone's talking about, right? And we have a system in place called carbon credits, where you can plant more and get credits. So it's starting to be done. Whenever a developer develops a new community, they've got to plant somewhere else. For whatever they take out, they have to plant somewhere else.
That's true.
I was a member of the Montgomery County Forest Conservation Advisory Committee. That's what we worked on for a while. So we can continue to do that, but we really have to actually make a lot of these deserted farm areas replant trees completely. We should replant much more in Maryland. That's going to help our air and our water and the soil suck out the nitrogen and phosphorus. So we have a lot to do. The Bay is going to take at least 10 more years. We're not putting them on. Hogan put about 1.2 billion. We need to put in the whole, all of, including parks, environment.
Yes.
We need that to be over $2 billion. There's a lot of places we can take the money. We're going to get to, for example, another show. What's our major problem? Why don't we have any money? Because we are $39 billion in debt because unfunded liabilities. We're taking care of everybody's retirement who's working for the government rather than taking care of the people who live in the cities. Our people, we're spending, our taxpayer dollars are going for their posh retirement. We'll get to that another. So that's the environment. What else? Any other questions?
Yes, Mr. Moshe, how confident are you in winning this position? Because you seem to be so confident and so,
Well, my background, I have a bachelor's and a master's, MBA and a JD. I'm a licensed attorney. I also owned a precious metals company, Maryland Metal.
That's right.
And an online mall. But my main concern is not winning right now. This election is about getting the message of the Green Party out.
Oh, sending the message out. Relaying your message is more important than even the
Well, Nancy King is the majority leader. It's going to be very hard to unseat her. I didn't want to necessarily go against these 3 delegates. They're doing a great job in the Democratic Party. The point of my campaign is to get the message out.
That's right.
That Green Party is legitimate. That we can run. We can get new. We can have a third party. Israel has 34 parties right now. A Palestinian woman, for example, backed out, almost took the whole government down. So they represent, there's 25% Palestinians. They have a nice variety. Here in America, we don't really have a multi-party true democracy where everybody's view. Why isn't there an African American party, a green, red? We can have these parties and people can come up together in coalitions, which is more representative of. So my goal here is to start the conversation of what the Green Party. A lot of people have talked about AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez talks about the Green New Deal. She made a big, but she's not part of the Green Party, but she made a big deal about it. So we can do that as well. We can promote the Green New Deal, just like in the New Deal, back in the FDR age, where there was money went into these great public programs, revitalize the economy. Everybody worked on, public works in Tennessee and here and there. We can do that in Maryland. Just environment alone can create thousands and thousands of jobs. Cleaning the septic tanks, truckers moving all the manure. People will go test the waters. People will go to New York. They will go to farms in New York and say, we will take this manure out of your farm. We're not going to let it come down to the bay.
Okay.
This is going to take 10 years. It's going to thousands of good paying jobs.
Yes. Those
jobs are not there now. Truckers can make a great living. We need to, there's people in the cities right now who are actually getting unemployment right now. We're paying for their lives, but they can be making 3 times as much cleaning the environment. And these great jobs. And, a government is not supposed to just serve the needs of the top. I'm going to get to this, the doctors, lawyers, in another session, right? We'll talk about that. Unfortunately, it's not working for most people. People are not happy, but they're not expressing the truth of what they're feeling about the government. So we have an opportunity here. Anything else about the environment? So today is about discussing the environment.
Thank you so much for your time. I really hope, the environment and the people around will be able to support you in everything that you've said. And hope you deliver as much as possible.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, the election is November 8th, and we're going to have another video, other videos coming up about housing, public housing, fiscal responsibility, education.
Yes.
We'll talk about many more issues. So stay tuned. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for your time, sir. You have a good one. Okay. Good luck.